Welcome to Chew the Fat. In this series, I sit down with high-performance guests and we talk about life, business, and what it takes to be at the top. This is part of my mission to raise $1 million for charity by writing a cookbook called Eat with Purpose. But I'm going to need your help. If you can share the content and leave a review, it's going to make a massive impact. And the bigger the audience, the greater the reach, and the sooner we can get to that $1 million goal. Enjoy the episode.
Bring in this podcast to the fat with Eat with Purpose, my cookbook. And every meal I do, I kind of have that lens, which is like, how do we make it healthy? How do we make it fast? So today we have a caramelized onion and 3 different types of mushroom with a goat's cheese frittata.
Okay, amazing. The opposite.
Me too.
So it's like simple but really tasty.
Oh, good.
Like, yeah, very nice.
Christie Whitehill, co-founder of INTU Wellness. Welcome to Chew the Fat.
Thank you.
Now, where I'd love to start for the audience today is, for those who don't know, give me a little snapshot. What is INTU Wellness?
INTU Wellness is a premium health and beauty supplements company. We create products that help people feel awake as the alarm goes off, energized to take on the day and confident in their own skin.
Love that. And what's the contextual background that created the Christie that sits in front of me today?
A lot, really. Where do we start?
Take me to your childhood.
Yeah, I was one of those kids that had the lemonade stand out the front of my house selling lemonade. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so I was probably destined to be an entrepreneur. I wasn't an A student. I grew up going through school thinking that I wasn't smart enough. I didn't fit into the school way of learning. I learned by doing, and the traditional school system is very much about, that rote learning theory kind of work that doesn't suit me at all. So I didn't thrive throughout school.
How did that make you feel during your school years?
Yeah, I'm not confident. Coming out of school, I was very much, not confident in myself. I didn't know my abilities. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know my purpose. My parents actually divorced when I was 17. So that also threw another spanner in the works coming into, adulthood, and went off the rails a little bit and got into the party scene, and probably spent about a good few years there before, and travelling. I went overseas. I went to UK and tried to discover myself on my own went down, a few wrong paths, but recorrected around 22. And
was there a moment in time? Like, was there something that shifted you?
Yeah, it was, I think, after a big night out one night and just feeling really, really bad, really crap. And just went, there's got to be more to life than this, and just feeling really lost and lonely and depressed, really. And I remember having conversations with my dad and my mum and, just searching for something. I actually went to a Chinese herbal medicine person because I was like, I just feel so sad. And, they gave me advice. They gave me these little tablets to take, and I don't know why that helped, but I just, started giving me a bit more of a positive outlook. And my mum actually introduced me to the book The Secret when I was 22 years old. She started getting into personal development, and I watched that. I don't know if you've watched that before.
I haven't watched it.
No.
I've heard all about, but I haven't watched.
Yeah. So I read the book, but I also read. I watched the movie, and that was when it first sort of launched, and that gave me, I guess, more hope and insight into what's opportunities out there for me.
What specifically in that? Was there like something that really stuck with you in that message?
It was having a positive mindset and outlook. And I know there was controversy around The Secret, and, you just think something and then it happens. We know that there's action that has to come after. But just that manifesting and how you can have control of your life and start to take steps towards creating what you want. And from there, that really sparked my interest into personal development. And I did Dr. John Demartini. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No.
He's an amazing human behavior expert. And I did his program. And from there, I was mind blown. Like, I remember driving in the car one time, and I was back on the Gold Coast at this time. And I was thinking, oh my God, like, I'm in control of my life. Like I can create whatever I want, and just this empowerment feeling that this program gave me. And then I started getting really interested in business, and I was probably around 23, 24 then, and reading books and just self-learning.
What was it about business that interested you?
Don't know. I think just the opportunity. I was from a young age. I worked. I had my first job when I was 13, and I always worked. I was always taught if you want something, you have to go out and buy it yourself, make it yourself. So I always had that kind of work ethic in there. And then by the time I was like early 20s, I was a manager at a retail store, and I was always going to be in management or leadership, or I don't know. I just had the knack for communicating with people. I don't know. And then I think I actually won a swimsuit competition that the prize was you could design your own swimwear range.
Cool.
And so that was actually it was probably around 23. That just sparked my interest. I was like, oh my God, I could have my own thing. I could have my own business. And I was already managing. I knew how to manage people and a business, or within a business. At the time, I think I was working at City Beach on the Gold Coast. Nice. And then that sparked, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do my own thing. And then from there, so I got to design a few swimwear pieces for this business. It didn't really go anywhere, but it sparked the idea. And then a girlfriend of mine, it was just before I met my now husband, Dave, and I was 25 when I met him. I was having a glass of wine with a friend, and she was like, I've got an idea for a website. And this is when, because I think at the time Facebook had just started becoming a thing. And so I was like, what was it? And she says, dating website where friends introduced their friends.
Yes.
It was called Fancy My Friend.
Yeah, perfect.
Anyway, we did what all non-technical first-time founders do when you come up with an idea for a website or
get a ping pong table.
Yep, exactly. No, we actually Googled website developers and found a website developer in India.
Perfect.
As you do. And I think we spent about $5,000 threw that down the drain because, if you hire developers in India, they just do what you say.
Exactly what you say.
They don't actually advise you. So, but we also then managed to convince another friend to give us some money to build the next version and actually do it properly. And we built the next version, and I actually managed to raise around $300,000 in capital.
Wow.
Following that. And we pivoted the idea throughout the whole process to an app because apps were the next thing. And we're trying to come up against, at the time, Tinder didn't exist.
Wow.
So, and we hadn't seen it coming on the horizon yet. And, but we knew we were onto something. So I actually landed a big deal with Yahoo and Pacific Magazine. It was almost $1 million deal.
Wow.
With them to promote the app. And
can I pause you there for 1 second? What I love, right? So this time you're about 25, 26, first business, and here you are pitching to Yahoo, right? And Yahoo then was they owned, they were humongous,
huge.
Right?
Yeah.
What was it like to go and pitch to Yahoo, and how did you even get that connection?
Yeah, so it was actually through Pacific Magazines at the time, and it was through. So my girlfriend of mine, who's one of my best friends, she's in PR, and she was helping me with the marketing of the app, and it was we pivoted the name from Fancy My Friend to Fancied, and it was swiping fancy someone anonymously, so quite like Tinder, and she made some introductions to some people at the magazines, at Famous Magazine, and then it just got up to the CEO or I think he was the chief of digital. I can't remember his title, but and they loved it. Could see that it was a new thing. I think they were starting to make acquisitions in the space. Anyway, 6-month process of negotiating. I did bring on an expert to help when I don't know something. I'm like, who can come in and help me?
Love that.
Navigate, because I had no idea what I was doing. Anyway, 6-month process, raised some capital for it. had a great team in place, and then Tinder started hitting the market. So we got around 20,000 users in the first couple of months.
Which is that's not small.
No.
That's pretty material. Yeah.
Traction-wise, it had a high referral rate. I think it was like 50% referral rate.
Wow.
But then Tinder hit, and
big wallets.
Yeah. So we weren't able to compete with that, and I needed to raise more capital, and ended up selling the technology to another company though, like the back end technology, and it was pretty bittersweet because raising money, 300 seed round, first business. Yeah, it was tough. Like I definitely felt, I guess, the shame and the guilt for losing other people's money and all of that kind of stuff.
And how did that like materialize in your life? Like that moment, that feeling. It's interesting whenever we have these conversations and it's like, oh yeah, I felt that. But there's like that reality of when you're in that moment, and like I'm sure that some of the 300 is like friends and family and close people to you. Like bring me to that. Like how you one truly felt, and two how you got through it.
Yeah, it felt pretty shit, to be honest. And luckily, though, I think through the work that I had done with the personal development, I was able to take that moment of, I think, just feeling shame. Like I think I was in tears pretty much for 3 weeks. And but I'm a huge believer that with every challenge, there's an opportunity for growth. And I enrolled a mindset coach to help me turn it around and go, come on, you can turn a positive into this really bad situation, or what felt like a really bad situation. And a few weeks later, I was like, okay, how can we do this? And the team that I had in place had some really talented people. I was like, what can we do next? And we knew we loved building products and startups, and I was really addicted by that stage. I've probably been in the space for a good 3 or 4 years, or 3 years by that stage, 4 years, and learned a bunch of stuff too. And then a few months later, we got together and we went, we can help other startups build products. We can start to come up with other ideas ourselves. And so I created an innovation agency called Hatching Lab, and we started working with startups initially and building products and helping their MVP get to market. And then we started working with corporates. And I think by year 3, we landed EY, Ernst & Young, as a client. And it was actually off the back of some conversations I'd had with the team, because I've done my R&D. The grant through Ernst & Young, and I'd been through that process. I knew that there were some real pain points that came with tracking your R&D activities. And then on the other side, for the accountants and for those who are actually processing that R&D.
It's quite painful.
It is. It's like the document exchange back and forth. And I saw that, KPMG and a few others in the market had been creating products to help streamline this process. And I said to the guys at Ernst & Young, we should create this. We should do this. And so we ended up pitching to them, and 7-month process of back and forth. We won the job to create their product called Ready, and it was a small team of us, and got that to market. It was a good 2-3 year project.
Wow!
But I believe now it's scaled globally throughout the organisation.
That's incredible.
So that was a fun project. It was automating systems internally, as well as a client-facing portal to help with that process.
Wow, that's huge. And I'll for those who heard us just say the word grant and they're like, what are you guys talking about? Part of the Australian landscape is ultimately, if you're doing something in a technology space that's new and innovative, wrong way to say that word, but that's fine, you have the ability to apply for a government grant, which then gives you a tax concession, and absolutely a great thing to do if you're that young starting business, because it helps a lot.
Oh, definitely. Every little bit helps.
Yeah. So let's just to take, like, what was that key learning from the first business, the app, into your next one that you think fundamentally helped the success? Because that to me sounds like a success. That next part of the venture.
Yeah, validate.
Yeah, talk to me more.
I think so. What I didn't do in the first startup was I didn't speak to enough customers. I didn't validate the idea. I did a focus group and then put out some leading questions so that they told me that it was a great idea. But I didn't go out and actually ask customers, do they have this problem? How much would they be willing to pay for it? And, would they even use the product? And I didn't really test that process. And I think that's the most important step to starting any startup is you must go out and speak to your potential customers first.
Yeah.
And ask the right questions, ask open-ended questions, find out, is there a problem solution fit? And is this idea worth pursuing?
Yes.
Number one.
Love that. That's awesome. So now take me from where we are here and then to Tech Ready Women.
So for 5 years, I had Hatching Lab, and it was great. Learned a lot because we took to market, 20, 30 technology products and services, and it was a lot of fun because I love that. That's like my favorite part is like idea through seeing something come to life.
Yes.
Is really exciting. I love that creation phase, and it was fun doing it for other people. But throughout that whole time, really, I had a lot of women reach out to me and say, how do I get started in the space? I heard stories of women who had spent $50,000 on tech and the developer's gone rogue, or it was actually a WordPress site that they built, not actually custom technology or something, and also at the same time in the industry was like, there's no women, but, and I started in the startup space when literally there was just fish burners.
Yeah.
And I was the only woman in the room.
Wow.
Like I would turn up to the meetups and I'd be like, hey guys, like it's hi. Be like Googling everything they said because I'm trying to figure out all the jargon and buzzwords.
Yeah, all the acronyms.
And it was just, but I'm quite a confident person. I can walk into a room and say hi and, no problem. But not everyone can do that, and it can be quite an intimidating space. And so I saw that there was a need for opening up the pipeline and really supporting women coming into the industry. And there was another program. There was lots of great programs, but they weren't starting at the start of your startup journey.
Yes.
They were starting at, you've got your MVP, you're in market, you've got traction, revenue, or whatever it is, but how do you help women get there first, And they had great mentors and things. And so I designed a program that was idea to MVP.
Yep.
And I worked with a bunch of experts like UX, tech, startup experts. I brought in like my successful startup founder friends.
Cool.
And we created a bunch of content. Although I did, before I launched Tech Ready Women, I set up a landing. I interviewed a whole bunch of women and found out their core problems. What were the things that they were wanting to learn, and what did they expect, and how much would they pay, and all that kind of stuff. And then I set up a landing page and started running ads to it. And the landing page obviously just spoke straight to their problem and the solution that we had in this program. And I sold out the first program within the first month. And I think we made like $50,000 for that first program to help run the first program. And I built it as I went.
Wow,
so
that's
I built
cool.
like one or two modules and then like we were like building as we went.
Yes.
But it was great to do it that way because we actually learnt how, how to support women throughout the process because, I mean, all founders, whether men or women, are juggling multiple things, trying to get something started, whether you're already, you're still working, you've got family, all of that kind of stuff. But, in Australia, women are still primarily the primary caregiver. And so starting a startup there's a few more barriers.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges there. Yeah.
So we created a really flexible program and tested and iterated as we went. We ran it face-to-face initially, got Ernst & Young on as a great partner to help sponsor, as well as some other GitHub and Amazon and a few other partners early on, which helped give us our credibility.
Totally.
I didn't have any credibility. I'd never built an education program before, but I was like, it's simple, guys. This is how you do it. Like I've been through the So, and then, it took off and we won some awards and helped, quite a few women. And then by year 2 or 3, I think we were running like 20 events in a year.
Wow.
We'd had over 1,000 women go through our events and workshops. And because, at that stage I was like, see, there are women interested in this space. You just need to create that space for them. Yeah. And so that they could see it. It's like, if you can see it, you can be it.
Because it would be so intimidating, right? To your point around you went to the fish burners, it'd probably be like, I'm imagining, like 99% males, right?
Pretty much.
And that would be really intimidating. It'd be like quite a little bit off-putting. You walk into the room, you're like, wow, like I don't know the acronyms and jargon, but I also don't feel like I fit in. So I can imagine how that would create a sense of ease and comfort. And then you being someone who's done something and it's successful in that, then they have this like, mentor, someone to look up to, be like, okay, this kind of path has been done, I can follow suit.
Yes.
That's really cool.
No,
I think there's a lot of valuable takeaways in this that I would love to kind of dig in for the audience. And I got a lot of feedback when I had Susan from Airbnb, which was like the young women saying, wow, I was so inspired by the way, she thinks about the corporate world and thinks about business. And I reckon you've got a lot too. So bring me into what were those problems that you kind of found out? What was that restriction barrier apart from, the lifestyle pieces we just touched on? Were there any mindset barriers? What else was there?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually said to someone yesterday that even though we've got all these modules, this training, this program, yes, we're teaching the skills of how to create great tech products and start getting your first customers and getting your first product to market. But what we're really about is providing them with the confidence and giving them the confidence in order to take the first step or the next step and the next step. And then giving them access to mentors that have been there, done that, so that they can step into the space confidently. It's like confidence is a big thing. And, once you have the skills or once you start and have the right people around you to actually like cheer you on.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was missing in the industry was like-minded, and having like-minded women around them who've also been on that journey. And yes, there's the barriers of you've got the kids or, because I think it's the median age of people starting businesses these days is like 38 plus or something like that. And that's when you have young kids these days, and that's really hard. Like I've been through it.
Yeah.
I've got two young kids and building businesses. It's bloody hard. And I feel like I'm in a privileged position, and if you don't have access to the resources and the mentorship and all of that stuff, it can be very hard. And it was actually through COVID that I pitched to the government, the New South Wales government, because I was like, guys, we're doing this work, this important work. I really need your support. We actually won a tender to pilot our program at scale.
Wow.
And because I'm the product entrepreneur, I systemated, automated, digitalized our program so that we could run it at scale. So we're going from 15 in a cohort and we went to 50 in a cohort through COVID. And so we were just right time, and the government could really see that this was a real need. And 3 years on now, and we recently won a 2-year contract to keep delivering the program at scale.
Incredible.
So,
And share with me some of like what are like everything, there's going to be some people that have been successful, some people that did okay, and some that didn't go so well. I'd love to know, what are some of those key learnings that you've seen from the people who've done really well, the women that have done really well in their business? Like, what is it that you've seen, I guess, a correlation between them that's helped their success?
They give it 110%.
Yeah.
I think, they want to learn. They are curious. They ask questions. They seek help. Those who are most engaged in the program, just through what I've seen in our program anyway, are the ones who and apply the learnings. They're the ones who will, push through the hurdles and things like that. They turn up to each workshop going, I'm ready to learn. I've just implemented this, and they push through some of those barriers. I think it's that mindset of, the willingness really to want to make it work.
And it's really interesting because I'm quite passionate about this, because in our business, I can think of two ladies that have started to kind of tinker with this idea of the side hustle. And ultimately they want to go out there and create a business. And, part of the thing I try to be as a leader in the business is I go, yes, I can help you with day-to-day business stuff, but the reality is if I can also help you with your business, I know I'm going to get a strong advocate. Yeah. But I can see the challenge, which is like that leap of faith, or the how do I fit it into my day? So for the ladies listening, like, what's that encouragement to be like, hey, what's your next first step to start really turning the dial on that side hustle?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still, now that I'm in a new business as well, I feel exactly, the challenges of prioritizing your time. But I think it's just that. It's really learning what you need to prioritize your time and focus to, because that'll help get you results. And, sometimes you need to pull back and actually just look after the kids, like do what they, get them sorted and then go and do your activity or, get to your other work stuff that's paying the bills, get that stress off your plate and then look at the priorities and go, what is the logical thing that's going to get me to the next goal, the next step. And ultimately in business, now that, once you're in market and once you've launched as well, revenue is number one. And if you can focus on those activities that help you to get that, but then there's times in your business you need to go back to operational tasks. So I think it's just really knowing what your priorities are to help you to get to the next step. And if you're just doing an hour a day or 2 hours a day initially, start it, get the momentum going and just keep going. It takes time. I'm 15 years into building businesses.
That's actually really interesting. Do you know what else is interesting? The Eat with Purpose cookbook. It's part of my mission to raise $1 million for charity. This podcast is a part of that goal. And what you can do is like, comment, share, and leave us a review. Let's get back to the guest.
Seems like when you talk to people, it's overnight successes, but people have built foundations way before that. It depends on your experience, your knowledge, your networks. But I would just say if you don't have those things, experience, knowledge and networks, tap in, do the programs. Instantly you get a community, you get mentors, you get education. And we have our Tech Ready Women, a bit of a plug for Tech Ready now.
Shout out to Tech Ready Women.
We have scholarships.
Yeah.
The New South Wales, for New South Wales founders anyway at the moment.
And it's only for tech businesses, or it could be like e-commerce. Give me the scope of it.
Yeah, so the current program that's running in New South Wales, that is for any innovative or scalable startup. So it could be a product.
Yes.
It could be a innovative app, tech product, med tech, health tech, any kind of field, as long as it's scalable.
Yes.
Is our criteria. We are launching a national program very soon.
Awesome.
And open again to scalable startups who are wanting to scale. So yeah.
And what are the kinds of mentors that you've been bringing into that space?
So we have had, our mentors as part of the program have been with us for pretty much the whole time.
Cool.
About 75% at least. Yeah. And we get some new mentors come in as well, but they're from backgrounds with tech, product, startup founders, through to finance, investors, UX designers, anybody. We really try to provide this community of mentors that they can tap into depending on where they're at.
Yeah.
And that's important, yeah.
And that is really important, because that's one of the questions I get, and it's a fair enough question. It's at a particular point in time like you are today, you can tap into this huge network, right? And we all know that how powerful that is. Come back to the person who's day one, it's like, where do I start? who can I start to talk to? Because, I'm sure you get reached out to all the time. It's like you only have so much time and you can, so something like that is very powerful, as well as being with those like-minded people, the people who are on that same journey.
Yep.
That's something I can't stress enough to people is the reality, let's take it back to when I started a business. I have amazing friends. I've had them since I was high school. I'm really lucky in that sense. But there were, a lot of them are tradies, a lot of them are in, let's say, finance, all these different categories. I needed to surround myself with people who are also kind of on that business journey. So having something like that, where you can kind of share your war stories, your battles, is a very strong step in the right direction. Yeah,
that peer network as well. So when I started, because there wasn't any programs like mine or Tech Ready Women back then, I was just learning off my peers. I went into the co-working spaces and became really good friends with some of the other startup founders, and they were 2 steps ahead of me and just telling me what, marketing resource they used, or needing to build the financial model. At that time I didn't know how to build a financial model, but where do I learn that? And peer network is so important. So we actually do group style mentoring in our program, and that allows all the founders to be in a group and hearing what they're all working on, and then they start helping one another, and then they connect. And there's so much more, powerful insights you can gather from just your peers, not people who are 10 years down the track from you. It's the person who's 1 to 2 years. And so we do, try to facilitate that kind of environment too.
Because sometimes the people 10 years down, it almost feels too unattainable. Like the success feels so big. You're like, how can I possibly, get there? I have one last question before I want to shift into INTU Wellness. I'd love a success story. Give me an example of one of these amazing women in this cohort that's just absolutely smashed it.
There's actually too many to mention. I've got to choose one. Okay. Can I say 2?
Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can.
I mean, I've got 10 in my head. So, Kathy Hubble from Amelio Health. I remember having a phone call with her 5-6 years ago before the program, and she was just like, I don't know. I think I want to do this idea. I mean, I've got industry expertise, but I just don't know. Didn't have she lacked the confidence to get started. And I was like, this program's right for you. I promise you, and my certainty, I think, just helped to get across the line. And she did the program. She implemented everything we said. She got her first, she's got a health tech platform, which is helping manage pain management.
Amazing.
And she got her first pilot customer, which was an insurance company on board. She built her MVP. I don't even think she raised capital in the end because she just took off and just got so many customers and, won so many awards globally now, scaling her, just amazing. We've got, who else? Jeannie Marie from Brenner. She's aged care platform. And again, same thing, was like, I don't know, just uncertainty and lacked the confidence, I think, initially. And then again, throughout the program, I remember just having calls with her. She's like, Christie, I found another competitor. And I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. It's good. It's market validation. Yeah. There's not that many. It's fine. And she pushed through again. And then, she hasn't raised capital either, but she's just generating so much revenue. She's, I have conversations with her every now and again and run into her, and she's just persevering and just, she'll once she does her round, everyone is going to go, how do I put money in? She's that one of those. And then we've had founders as well who've scaled their platforms, raised millions of dollars. Charlotte from Avrima, Zara from UPage. Actually, a lot of health tech businesses. But so many
That's so cool
to choose from.
I noticed as you were talking and describing and thinking to those people, your face lit up.
Yeah,
there's
I
this huge,
love it.
It's huge smile. And why do you think that's so important to you to see that success in these amazing women?
I think I just wish I had that when I was starting out. It's just, I don't know. And I just love seeing people succeed and it's just so nice to give back. And I learn so much when I give back. I think that's why I love to support the founders.
Love it. So you've got all of this going on. How possibly in the world did you then manage to go, hey, I'm going to just start this other company called INTU Wellness?
So just before COVID, 2019, I was pregnant with my second baby. So I launched Tech Ready Women 3 months after giving birth to my first.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah, crazy idiot in hindsight. I had the support of my husband as well. And, it was actually quite easy. First child's easy.
Don't tell me that.
First child, I found it really easy. And to be able to juggle the business and that side of things. And I was able to go full time on it straight away. I was just in that position. And throughout the process, the first 2-3 years of building Tech Ready Women, I was getting burnt out. I was working, 12, 14-hour days, and having the little baby to get up to every now and again. My husband also travelled. And so by the time I fell pregnant with Ava, which was in beginning of 2019, I was already really fatigued and the signs of burnout started happening, but I wasn't aware of the signs, to be honest.
What were those signs for you?
Just fatigue and feeling lethargic and down and just mood, and so I don't even know how I got pregnant. It shouldn't have really, I wasn't in a good place, but fell pregnant and had to keep pushing through, I guess, once you got your own business. There's no maternity
Yeah.
break. And so I actually had this rash called PUPS, developed probably month 5 of the pregnancy, and I had this itchy rash like all over my body. And it was like having chicken pox 24/7. And by the end, I was prenatal depression. I was in tears most days. I think I had about 5 panic attacks throughout the process of just how do I push through? Like it's bad enough feeling pregnant and crap anyway, let alone being itchy and just not enjoying the process. So I felt really disconnected from the pregnancy. I just wanted the baby out. And I mean, I still have a bit of PTSD from it. It's just, and by the time she was born, it took about 2 weeks for the itch to stop. But I was in tears. Like I was crying most days and just not happy. Like, and I said to my husband, it's like, I should be happy. Like I have a healthy baby. Like,
Which makes it that much more challenging, right?
More challenging. And I just couldn't connect. And, but luckily, after a couple of months, I started feeling back to normal. The itch had gone and I was like, okay, I can because just I wouldn't wish it upon my worst nightmare. My worst enemy, sorry. Yeah, it was just really, not a good time.
And what was it like, sorry to keep staying here, but what was it like being in that moment, waking up and then going into work and like part of your role, I guess, is to inspire these women? Like how did that, I guess, feel?
Yeah. I was, to be honest, I hid away a little bit, and because I I'm one of these people that can, I can push through moments of, stressful situations and show up good face. And I think it was through winter as well. So I was covering my body, but, it was horrible. Like I was really depressed and, I think I'd wake up most nights having to ice myself because I was so itchy every hour. So I hardly slept. And my husband didn't even really realize how bad it was for me, because I'm one of these people, I think because of the way I was brought up, I don't ask for help very quickly. And it was towards the end where my midwife and, that was supporting me throughout the pregnancy was just like, okay, we need to get you some help. Like, you're not right. And I was, just in tears most days. It was not fun. But I guess, again, me being the purpose-driven entrepreneur, it really sparked. I guess it probably wasn't straight away. It was a good year after. And I think COVID was starting to hit then. And so we were all inside. We were all, the health thing actually came up a lot, right? Because we were all being pressed at that point with, the whole health thing with COVID. And, I really started diving into research. I also started actually getting more symptoms after that pregnancy. So I was fine for a good, 8 months where the itch stopped and I felt fine. But then again, I started getting fatigue, light sensitivity, brain fog, and just feeling terrible, like really feeling bad. And I'd had like gut issues before. And so I went to a naturopath and got all my tests done. And she's like, you got candida overgrowth, you got parasites, you've got leaky gut, you've got SIBO.
Wow.
And so a lot going on.
Yeah, that's a lot going
in
on.
my little body. But it explained why I felt so bad. And SIBO I'd never heard of. So that stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth.
Wow.
So you're meant to have some bacteria in your small intestine, but this is like, it's just overgrown. And stress is a huge contributing factor to getting SIBO. It's really hard to treat. And, but it can be the most underlying cause of IBS symptoms in people. Not many doctors know to test for it. So I had to go through quite a few doctors and quite a bit of money to actually find someone who could treat that. And, I was able to treat the parasites and started feeling a little bit better, but it took me a good 2-3 years, and burnout was definitely the contributing factor. So just not looking after my body, not eating right, not getting enough rest, not getting enough sleep. Sleep is the foundation of health. If you're not getting enough sleep, it can impact your mind, your body, and your skin and how you feel, how you look. And yeah, I just, it was a real pivotal point for me because I'd never felt so bad. Like there was one moment where I said to my husband, I think this is what it feels like to die. Like you're dying. Like I felt that bad from all these things going on. And I had to go on diets of no sugar, no gluten, no dairy, no spices, no sauces, nothing. It was literally like no fun, no fun. Thankfully it was COVID and it wasn't fun anyway. So we weren't going out for dinners.
Yeah.
I was blessed in that 12 months. I didn't drink alcohol or anything like that. And I was able to get on the path to healing my gut, but there was just so many days. And I started INTU Wellness with my good friend Anna Robards. My health journey was a big inspiration for starting that business. And if I hadn't, but I look back and if I hadn't have had that experience, then I wouldn't be so on a mission to helping others get into their health and look after themselves.
Amazing. And so I'll kind of connect the dots as I'm imagining some of those problems you've tried to essentially almost create solutions for yourself and then therefore realize, hey, this is this is big for other people.
Yeah.
Share with me some of those. So like the whole, the gut world is the knowledge around it is growing at pace. And I guess it's something that is now spoken a lot more than it once was. Were there any kind of pivotal products there that you found did truly shift the way you felt, or were you finding certain things but it wasn't marketed correctly, therefore you're kind of bringing it into this world and packaging it correct?
Yeah, so I was working with health practitioners and doctors at the time of healing my gut. I was lucky that I was able to afford that. I don't think many people have that.
Those tests are expensive.
It's so expensive. Yeah. It's like $500 a test every time. It's not covered by, healthcare, which it should be. It's like, we should be able to, but I won't go off on that sort of tangent. And so, all these, there's thousands of dollars spent and going from doctor to doctor to doctor to figure out and heal my gut. Because I would follow the diets. I'd follow the practices. I'd take the supplements and, then I'd get to like the, 8 week and I'm like, no, I still feel bad. Like, what is it? Anyway, the supplements. So I was recommended the supplements through my doctors, like magnesium, turmeric, lemon balm, passion flower. There were so many ingredients that I really grew to know their benefits and could feel the benefits when I did take them. Magnesium being a huge one. I think that's an important mineral that we all need and we're not getting enough from our food these days. And I also learnt a lot through just even testing that my mineral levels weren't great. So zinc and vitamin C, and I was just so low in so many things and it wasn't being absorbed. And so I learnt a lot about supplements throughout that 3 to 4 years and I knew the benefits of them. But I also had a love of, beauty and fashion and things like that. And I've always been a bit, into my skin products and things like that. And I was spending a fortune, to be honest. Like my husband's like, why is this tube of little thing cost $150? I'm like, but it helps fine lines and wrinkles.
Look.
Yeah. I'm like, pro for you is wife with good skin. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway. And so just connecting those two things together. And I did notice a lot throughout the 3 years. Once I started healing my gut, once I started eating healthy and not eating foods that were inflammatory, and I drank more water and I, took the supplements like marine collagen that helps with, your skin hydration and boosting and that kind of thing, I actually started to really see the results. And all those expensive creams that I was putting on my skin, I didn't have to use as much anymore. I mean, I do have a good few serums that I use, but nothing like what I was spending before. So it was just really cleaning out my inside and it really started showing on my skin on the outside. And I actually had my 40th birthday last year and in Ibiza. And
love that.
and so I was like, proof in the pudding because everyone thought I was 25. So I'm like
That's so I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? It's like the serums you're not solving the problem.
No.
You're almost patching over,
Yeah.
and this is you're going upstream to actually solve for.
Yep.
I'd love to kind of drill into, one of the things that stood out to me is, like, I love the look of your brand. I think it's a beautiful brand. Today you brought me this amazing box, which my wife will be stoked about. It looks beautiful. It looks really, really nice. Talk to me about, I guess, the brand, how you thought about the brand positioning being so critical. And then, of course, the next step with the Mecca deal we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah. So the supplements industry, and I guess ingestible beauty, which is our category within supplements, is already quite a saturated market, although there is a lot of growth in the industry still. So back when Anna and I had the idea, it took us about 6 months to come up with the name, but both of us were talking about our love of supplements. For her, it was magnesium because she couldn't sleep when she was pregnant, and then we're both taking the beauty things, and we were talking about how combining both those in one, because we're always so busy, we forget to take our supplements, running out the door. There's so many to take. You can get the pill fatigue of taking so many supplements. So we're both talking about that. And I said to her, I really would love to explore this space even more, especially after my experience. And she's like, let's do something together. We're both equally as passionate about the space. And obviously for her, she's got an amazing audience and has worked with some of the biggest beauty brands in Australia and wellness brands, and myself having had, my experience in business. So I did a lot of the market research where I interviewed around 20 women and started to uncover, and I actually put the call out initially because I wanted to see who would be our early adopters. You've got the assumption there, you've got women who already take supplements, and we wanted to target women initially first, and then those who don't know. So naturally, I already knew if women who take supplements are already going to be educated, they already know the benefits. And so they came through the interview process and answered my surveys and wanted to do the one-on-ones first. And then I could, really saw this pattern with who was answering the questions. And it was those busy, ambitious women trying to juggle it all, which is most of us these days, trying to juggle, and just needed that extra support. And sleep came up as one of the key concerns, along with the gut health and energy levels as something that they really wanted to solve for. And I also asked in there really important questions around their purchasing behaviour, and when it came to buying supplements, what do they usually do? What do they look for? What's important to them? So we incorporated into the brand and the packaging those key things. So when they saw it, they would be like, I want to buy that and I trust that. And we also, something that was really important was through the market research, I saw globally that specialty retail was the fastest category or fastest channel for growth for this category. And that your specialty retails being your Sephora's, your Meccas, any David Jones, all of those kind of non-traditional where they don't, Chemist Warehouse in Australia is 50% of the market was buying supplements. And so Mecca at the time, so just going back to the brand. So when you look at traditionally the supplement market, and when I looked at the competitors that were already out there, they're all pink, beige, white, bland, clinical, boring, and I was just so not fun. I like creating fun brands, and I like, that are inclusive and that are cool and, that stand out. And I think that's one thing that was really important. I thought, well, if we're going to, focus on specialty retail as a channel and place ourselves more in the premium space, because, when I did my competitor analysis, I saw that, everyone's positioned over here. And I was like, there's this little space over here for us where I think we can play. And, we use great quality ingredients. We use the best. We work with a formulator who's got a PhD naturopath. He's amazing.
Love.
And, we come with our core concerns. We say, the product has to work. It has to, I say to him every time, I'm like, it has to be an award-winning product. It has to work. We want our customers to come back. And so sleep was what we focused on first, and, created this bold, bright blue packaging. And we actually went into Mecca and went, if we're going to stand out on the shelf here, what should we do? And so that's where the boldness of the brand came about, and, the different colours to represent the different products. And, you know, we've got blue for sleep, we've got red for gut, and energy is green. And traditionally, like you go into a supplement, you know, Chemist Warehouse or something, and you look at the shelf and it's like, I can't tell the difference between, you have to really sit there and read it. Whereas I want people to go, oh my God, that brand with the arch, and that, you know, they remember it. So that's where that sort of design all came about. We worked with this amazing designer, Danny, as well, who helped bring our vision to life. It took a good 6 to 12 months to really, every little detail. If you look at the packaging, there's so much detail to that brand.
It's how critical is that step of working with an amazing designer who knows above just, okay, this is going to look cool on a page, but like understands that brand piece. I want to create a quick takeaway there for the audience is like some of those elements you've just touched on, so critical for the success and the launch, right? Like, so, you know, talking to those potential customers and finding out where am I in this particular segment. Then to your point, it's like, hey, there's many competitors. And so don't let that ever scare you away, because there's many competitors, but hey, they're sitting here on the Venn diagram, which is, you know, they're maybe more for the masses, or they're on a cheap alternative. Hey, there's actually a little sweet spot here and there's not too many people playing. Yeah. And then I love, and I'm almost connecting it back to the book that you first read, the manifestation, right? And it's like, I went into Mecca and I'm visualizing both metaphorically and literally, how is it going to be placed next to these people and how is it going to stand out? Yeah. So cool. Yeah. So take me to that Mecca conversation.
Yeah. So we just launched in Mecca a couple of weeks ago, and it was pretty surreal. It was really cool. So we were in conversation. We actually pitched to them 10 months after launching, and we just had the sleep product at the time, and we created a brand deck that showed the next products coming, because we designed out the next products after doing our research and what that looked like, where the brand was going, and put our stats and, you know, what we sort of achieved so far. And we you know, I actually, because I don't have a background in e-commerce or creating supplements or you know, even in retail, like I don't have any connections there. My background's in startups and tech, like, and you know, but I went, okay, well, we need to start bringing in some advisors now. And I reached out to a really amazing lady who used to be the GM of Sephora ANZ. Awesome. And I said, this is what we're doing. This is who we are. We're onto something. Would you be an advisor for us? And she was like, a coffee, yep, I'm in.
Love that.
And she started, you know, helping with the brand deck and positioning it to how the retailers would like, you know, to receive it. And so she really helped with that and tweaked that. And then she helped introductions to the right people, I guess, at Mecca, at Sephora, at David Jones. So we pitched everybody and Mecca said, look, we haven't done this category before and but you know, keep in touch. And we're like, oh damn it, okay. No worries. And Sephora had already just launched the category and launched our major competitors in there. And then David Jones was interested. There were a few interested, and we're like, okay, well, you know, let's get the next products going, NPD going, and then Mecca reached back out to us like 3 months later and said, okay, we're ready now. We're like, okay. So
what's the scale for those that may not be aware? Like how far and wide is Mecca spread?
Oh, so they're Australia, New Zealand.
Yep.
Massive, I guess, that in terms of the beauty industry, they're where you want to be.
They're the Mecca.
Yeah, they're Mecca.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
how many stores?
They're 110 stores.
Wow.
Sephora's got about 50.
Wow.
So so the revenue I think that they do is like 1.2 billion annually, I think, and they're
incredible.
Forecasting 1.9, I think. They're a big business, and we knew Mecca for us because our customer, when we surveyed them, we asked them where do they shop to buy their beauty product, and they were like, all Mecca.
Amazing.
It's like number one.
Yeah.
And so our customer is a Mecca customer, and we went, well, you know, we want to be in the best stores in Australia, really, Australia, New Zealand. And a friend of mine had also launched her brand in Mecca and had done very well. And so, she was 2 years ahead of us. So again, having that PR that's 2 years ahead is always helpful. So and it took about a year really of negotiation, contract negotiation, and all that kind of stuff, just to get to the right place and then to launch, really, which was just recently. So it's
incredible. Exciting. So one of the dots that I'm connecting through our conversation, which I think is really important for both women and men when it comes to business, is each time there's been these pivotal moments and these pivotal conversations that you've had, and they take time. And I think that's a really important piece because people sometimes get a bit disenfranchised when they launch and, it's not happening, like to the, hey, we're not ready right now. And by the end, it's a year conversation to have technically the revenue hasn't been created. It's just a year to actually just start that journey. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
And another one that's been coming through is like, and it's really interesting as I connect the dots between yourself and the conversation I had with Susan. And Susan had this really powerful message specifically for women in both corporate and business, which was essentially, it's not your job to make the decision. So it's not your job to make the decision if you should be in Mecca, but it's your job to ask the question.
Exactly.
And I'm seeing that through your journey. It's like there's these big conversations, reaching out to the person at Sephora. I'll just ask the question. I'll just ask the question. And a collection and a compound over that over time has clearly, you're onto a winner. And it's really awesome to see.
Yeah, don't be afraid to go out and ask people. Yes, you're going to get doors. I get so many people don't answer me and don't come back, or it's just you've got to go out and keep asking the questions and asking for help. And, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to feel like, oh no, who cares? Okay, I need help with this. Yes. Can you help me? And if they don't answer, they don't answer. It's like,
it's all right.
But if they do, you get that introduction that changes your business and you on to the next phase, so.
I love it. I have two last questions for you. In that, thinking about this leap for INTU from, would I be correct in thinking the biggest sales channel currently is kind of the e-com play, which is directly through, and now think about the scale to Mecca. How did you guys think about how we're going to be prepared for the potential increase in volumes? Like what did you have to do mechanically to be ready?
Yeah. So from day one, I was not going to be packing boxes because I want to sleep. I need my sleep. Got 2 kids. So we got a 3PL on very early.
What's a 3PL?
Third-party logistics provider that does our packing. They warehouse packing, shipping, that kind of stuff. And we just pay them a fee per order. And that connects with our e-commerce platform. And so when sales come in, it just automatically happens. Awesome. And so we were able to focus on what we do best, which is the marketing side of things. And yes, you kind of lose out a little bit on the personal touches. But, they had other positives, like we use eco packaging and things like that, which was really important, I think, for us, especially as we scale. And so that's set up to scale already. Awesome. And then our manufacturer is here in Sydney, makes the products here. So they make the products for some of the biggest brands in Australia. Amazing. So they're already ready to scale. And so, as our orders come in, it is a long lead time though. It's like 4 or 5 month lead time with the process because our products are TGA listed. So that's the Therapeutic Goods Association. It's governed by, and so it has to go through rigorous testing before they get released. So that's really important. It does take time.
Is it when you say take time to produce each one, or when a new product is for a product every to time. Delivery? Every time.
Every time.
Wow.
Yeah, every time. It's just that the raw materials come in, they get ordered, and then they come in, they go through a testing process for all the purity, quality, heavy metals, all that kind of stuff before it gets put into the product.
That's amazing.
The actual creating the product's a really easy part. It's the testing process that they have to wait for. Yeah.
Incredible. And I guess that comes back to that passion that you had inside, which was, well, it's got to work.
It's got to work. It has to work. And it does. Like the results of our products, Sleep and Skin Renewal, we've got the longest data on that because the other products we've really just launched recently, 50% return rate.
Wow.
The reviews just speak for itself. It's just such a great product. People are just getting deep, restful sleep. Their skin's glowing. It's just, my husband's taking it now because,
I'll be stealing that one out of the box.
Honestly, you will be. It is such a good product.
Love sleep. That's awesome. Now, I know your journey hasn't yet been completed, but it's always, I find, really important to be able to kind of sit back, take that moment of reflection. And so what I would love to ask you, Christie, is what are you most proud of up until this day today?
I think the resilience that I've had to push through. There were so many moments where I wanted to give up, wanted to go get a job and kept going. And because there's just so many tough moments in business, there are so many challenges and you're constantly problem solving and that's really tough. It's a really tough place to be in all the time. And you do get the wins and it feels good to get those big wins. But I think just the resilience to push through, keep going, because if you don't give up, you're going to succeed at some point.
Incredible. Christie, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you.